at GMFB. We are presented by Intuit QuickBooks Live in New York City. Happy Wednesday. It's November 6th. We've got PNF action in the AFC West tomorrow. Chargers, Raiders. A lot of Chargers love at the table. You know those Raider fans don't sleep.
No, Chargers, Raiders. We just heard from the Chiefs fans on Twitter, and I'm telling you, the AFC West is wide open right now. Chargers and Raiders both getting hot.
Who's going to make it in the playoffs? We'll let you know what we think as we hit the lead block.
Lead block.
On Monday night, the Cowboys defense held Giants running back Saquon Barkley to just 28 rushing yards. Dallas, got to talk about them to start the show because they faced another high-powered run game. On Sunday night, they host Dalvin Cook and the Vikings, and with more on this matchup. Hey, Jane Slater.
Thanks, Kay. Back-to-back wins over divisional opponents certainly has helped the Cowboys get out of that funk that they found themselves in the last couple of weeks. But the true test will come on Sunday night when the 6-3 Minnesota Vikings come into town to play them at AT&T Stadium. What will likely help the Cowboys is their familiarity with this opponent. Dak Prescott 4-0 against Kirk Cousins, and head coach Jason Garrett has never lost a game when Mike Zimmer is on the opposing sideline. Now, the key in this one is going to be slowing down the league's leading rusher in Dalvin Cook. They've done a pretty good job of that when you consider what they've done against Alvin Kamara, and then on Monday night, Saquon Barkley. But they're going to need Leighton Vander Esch to have their best chance of that. Leighton Vander Esch didn't play on Monday as he continues to deal with that neck stinger, so that is something that we'll be monitoring this week. Okay, back to you.
Later, Slater, take a look at how Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins compare in primetime games in their careers. Cousins has a higher passer rating. He has more touchdowns and more yards per game than Dak, or Cat Prescott, as we are calling him affectionately on this show. But check out the wins, guys. Just 6-13 in primetime. Dak, 14-5. Let's start with the Cowboys side of things. How do they get a win in this game? One weird thing I saw, don't be sloppy to start the game, guys. They have 8 first-half turnovers this year. That's third most in the league.
Yeah, that's crucial. You definitely got to take care of the ball. If you're the Cowboys, you have to slow play this. Use Ezekiel Elliott to control the clock for as long as you can, and then you open up the game in the second half, similar to what they did up against the Giants. You don't have to come out throwing the ball. You can come out pounding the ground. And yesterday, Kyle said, don't let Ezekiel Elliott get going. He could end up leading the NFL in rushing. And if you have that type of talent back there, then you can beat up this team, keep it close. And I have more faith in Dak Prescott in the winning moments of this game than I do Kirk Cousins. Now, on the flip side, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, I say you come out and torch the skies, because it's going to be hard to run against that linebacker core and that D-line who was ferocious up against the Giants. I mean, they held Saquon Barkley in check. Let's keep that in mind. I have all the faith in the world in Dalvin Cook, but when it comes to skill for skill, I feel like Saquon, if he's one of those individuals that can't get going versus the Cowboys, it's going to be tough for Cook to get cooking.
We'll get to the Vikings. Let's stick with the Dallas side of things, Trace. What do they do to get a win here?
Not come out of the gates like you just described.
Throw an interception on the first play?
Oh, my gosh. You get a bye week, you come out, and you're up against the lifeless Giants, and you throw an interception and put them right in field goal contention to start the game, and it's not the first time they've done that. They looked lifeless against the Jets to start the game. They looked lifeless against the Saints to start the game. This is a team that can't get started, and what does that tell me? That something's happening the night before the game or in the morning of the game, that they're just not clicking to get going. I hate having to watch Dak Prescott take this team out of a hole and then in the second half put up a bunch of numbers, and then the next morning everyone just look at the box score and say Dak played well. No, the good teams beat you when you start off so slow. So what do they need to do? How about taking a lead in the first quarter and not forcing us to have to go into this bag of tricks and come back from behind against teams that are inferior? Right now, the Cowboys, they're not the superior team to the Vikings. Let's see what they can do when they're actually back against the wall at home against a team that they might not be the better team then.
Starting slow doesn't work against great teams.
No, and they started fast to start the season, and we had a coronation of Kellen Moore. He was going to be the greatest coach of all time, and Dak Prescott's going to be the MVP, and they were starting great. A new power is rising. A Kraken is getting released, and it's Ezekiel Elliott taking over the whole identity. Guys, his carries are up. His yards are up, 3 straight 100-yard games. And what I love about him last week, put up 100-something yards, but his longest run was 19. That means it's 8, 12, 6, 4, 10. It's classic. And you can see them change the whole offense to Dak and Amari. It's Zeke time, and it's really scary because they can't be beaten when he runs like this. Zeke, if he gets going, they'll destroy the Vikings.
The other benefit to not starting sloppy is you're going to take some confidence away from Kirk Cousins, who very clearly knows the narrative around him in these big games against stiff competition in primetime, high-moment situations, which is really any game against Dallas. So you can't let him settle in or start feeling confident. How do you do that? On the Viking side of things, how did they attack attack this game? Maybe it is as simple as you're saying, run the ball with Dalvin. Is it that simple?
Dalvin Cook right now is #1 in the NFL in rushing, and everyone's saying, yeah, but he's got one more game than Christian McCaffrey. And yet no one's talking about how important Dalvin Cook is in the grand scheme for this Vikings team. It's all about Cousins and his inability or what he can't do.
Take the pressure off Cousins.
Exactly right, Kay. If Dalvin goes for 160 and a touchdown in this game, they're winning this game.
Sure.
If Dalvin gets going and can do it, they're winning. Take the pressure off Cousins. Because 2 weeks ago, they played the Redskins in prime time, and it was Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison just running the ball down the Redskins' throats, and the Redskins, they lost by 10. They never had a shot. This is the strategy. Give this kid the rock, and that takes a lot of pressure off Kirk Cousins, where we're looking at him and saying, big spot, Kirk, on the road, Sunday Night Football. I don't know, the numbers aren't in your favor. What do you got for us? How about you just hand the ball off and let that guy do it?
But, Peter, don't we sound like every Giants fan last week? Just give this kid the rock. Just give Saquon the rock. If we feed him, if we give him the ball in the passing game, we get him out of the backfield, we use him in the screen game, in between tackles, we'll have a shot at beating the Cowboys. And I'm pretty sure the Cowboys heard that every single day, that Saquon is God's gifts to running backs. And guess what? They bottled him up. They hit him. Of course, Saquon got off a little bit.
28 yards rushing, you're right.
But here's the thing. When it comes to Dalvin Cook, they're hearing the same thing. I know that defense is getting up for the league's leading rusher. I'm not saying Dalvin Cook can't get going. I'm just saying this is going to be the biggest test for that young running back.
Dalvin Cook had 21 carries for 71 yards against the Chiefs. Like, teams know who to stop and what it can do to a game.
Yeah, I think the difference is the Giants quarterback isn't good, and the Vikings quarterback is excellent. Peter, you would have a good sense of this. Don't you think that Kirk Cousins is a guy who probably likes plays, Oklahoma, South Pacific, musical, big plays. He loves big plays. And the Vikings are not a cloud of dust team. The Vikings lead the entire NFL in explosive plays. Passing game, running game. They don't do the dink and dunk thing. They go big. You look at Kansas City, Dalvin Cook's longest run was 12 yards. They tried. They shut him down. Stephon Diggs, nowhere. The way this team wins is 5-5-5, 60, 70. They don't do long, prolonged drives. If they don't have the big plays, I'm talking full-on Evan Hansen, they don't win this game. They got to go big. The kid in the cast. Heartbreaking.
We talked yesterday, and you said Jerry Jones spent the money. They have the
turnkey,
sitting there in this box. Do they have what it takes? You're saying, like, what is your faith level? We never really got into the nitty-gritty of how far this Cowboys team can go. They're built to beat winning teams. They're built to win the Super Bowl. How are they going to do that?
It's all the players are there. They're absolutely loaded. The question is the coach and the quarterback, because the NFC playoffs are going to be monsters. There's no gimmies. There's no warm-up week in the bye week or divisional. The answer to the question is TBD, TB Dallas. They have good players. Will they win playoff games? I don't know yet.
It wouldn't kill his reputation for Kirk Cousins to win a big game. It wouldn't kill him to win in Sunday night in Dallas and shut some people up. Kirk, go do it. Shut us up.
And if you like big plays, you better have that rhythm like Hamilton.
That's what I was saying. The room where it happens. Nate's never seen it.
You've never seen it!
Only person at the table who hasn't seen the rap musical is the rapper.
You like big plays, also long plays. You've got the long show coming up. Now, former All-Pro receiver Herman Moore is going to join us here on the show. Not at the table. No, we're just going to keep him down outside.
Nah, not allowed in.
You better bring him some coffee or something.
Going on the street with us.
I hear he's the master of the jump ball. True?
Oh, yeah. Throw it up there for Herman. He'll get it.
Cam Newton sending a message to his fans. What is the future like for Superman and his team? Kyle Allen